and welcome to Tar Heel Teachers at Home. I'm Marlow Artist. I'm the moderator of the program. Tar Heel Teachers at Home is an interview series focused on engaging North Carolinians in conversations around education. Each week, I'm happily joined by a wonderful panel of educators, each one representing a particular subsection of education. We'll start our introductions with our elementary school co-host.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shanessa Fenner. I'm the principal of William T. Brown Elementary School for the Cumberland County School System. I've been in education 26 years, and my Twitter handle is @ShanessaF.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Santamore. I currently am an intervention specialist at East Hope Middle School in Hope County Schools. I just wrapped up my 10th year in education. All of it has been with Hope County. My Twitter handle is @Ms_Santamore.
My name is Dr. Jason Leach. I'm principal at Hereford County High School. I just got named Principal of the Year for Hereford County Public Schools. I've been in education. This will be my 21st year. We're doing some outstanding things. My Twitter handle is @Jason JAYSSONL88. That again is @JAYSSONL88. And we're doing some great things. I'm a pleasure to be here.
I am Jennifer Shelton, and I am the EC Director and 504 Coordinator for Henderson County Public Schools. And I am also getting ready to start my 21st year in education, all of which have been in Henderson County. So I've been a little spoiled like that. I am on Twitter @JRShelton425.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining us as special guest co-hosts. We're really honored to have each of you on the program. For this episode of Tar Heel Teachers at Home, we are chatting with Angie Knight, who is the Superintendent of GrahamCounty Schools, a position she has held since 2013. Recently, Mrs. Knight was recognized as the Western Region Superintendent of the Year. Superintendent Knight, welcome to Tar Heel Teachers at Home.
Oh, thank you so much for having me this evening.
We're really excited to have you here, and congratulations on this wonderful recognition and the great things that are happening in Graham County Schools. So Superintendent Knight, can you start by giving us an overview of your district? How will you describe Graham County Schools to individuals who haven't had an opportunity to visit your district?
Well, I would describe Graham County Schools as a very rural school district in southwestern North Carolina. If you haven't come to Graham County, once you get to Asheville, travel about 2 hours west. We really are, Asheville is not the end of the state. So Graham County's on out there a couple of hours. We have a very small school system with an elementary school, a middle school, and a high school. We have approximately 1,200 students. We're a tier 1 county, meaning that I have a lot of students that live in poverty. But for what we lack in economic growth and economic development, we're very rich in cultural resources and natural resources, and have an amazing community out here.
Wonderful, amazing community that you have served for many years. So Superintendent Knight, can you give us an overview of your career, talking about your first experience with the school system up through your current role?
Okay, well, I started my official role with Jackson County Schools very briefly, and moved to Graham County Schools a long time ago. I'm beginning my 34th year in July. So I began my career as an exceptional children teacher. I spent eight years in the classroom as an exceptional children teacher, and moved to central office with Graham County Schools as exceptional children director and federal programs director. At that time, I acquired several other hats. Being a small rural system, we have an opportunity. Sometimes that would be a challenge, but we call that an opportunity to wear many different hats, as many of you probably do in your roles as well. So I've had an opportunity to have a little bit of interim as a finance officer. I've been safe schools coordinator, preschool director, several different, probably everything except testing director. And then I moved to assistant superintendent for 5 years. And then for the last 11 years, I've been superintendent with Graham County Schools.
That's wonderful. And so many things have happened under your leadership, and we're really excited to talk about those things, Superintendent Knight. What questions do we have for Angie Knight, Superintendent of Graham County Schools?
Yes, Superintendent Knight, I would like to know, what has been your biggest accomplishment as superintendent?
Wow. I think, and you're gonna hear this because I feel like this is after 33 years, you can kind of tease out what's important and things bubble to the top. I think my biggest accomplishment as superintendent would be the building relationships within our community and schools and watching those relationships grow and flourish over the years.
I'm gonna jump right on in.
Sure.
First of all, I would like to say congratulations on your tenure as superintendent of Graham County Schools. I've did a lot of research when Mr. Dr. Artis asked me to be on. It was great seeing what's going on in areas that we're not familiar with. The question I have for you is, if you may, please afford any advice you would give to any female aspiring district office leader to take or in seeking leadership in education. What would be the advice that you would be given to give?
Well, I would give any aspiring female leaders the advice that, if you can believe it, if you can dream it, you can do it. I feel like that we live in a world at this point that we have the opportunity, anything we can set our goals and we can accomplish anything that we want to do. I'm very fortunate as a female to have never really experienced too much inequity. And maybe that's because it's a rural system and we're very community oriented, but I feel very, very excited to set that role model for maybe young students or young teachers or administrators that would look at the role as a female superintendent in a traditional male role. It's very exciting to be there. And I would just say, set your goals for that and just go for it. Do whatever it takes to build your reputation and build your resume to where that you're an effective leader, regardless whether you're male or female.
So I was going to ask, we talk a lot about teacher turnover, especially in the last couple of years, but, we see some of those same trends among superintendents in North Carolina. So my question to you is, we're going to have a lot of new superintendents this year. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, so I just returned from the Summer Leadership Conference, and there's a lot of new faces. There's a few familiar faces, and, I think that you have to make sure this is something you want to get into. Goodness, none of us expected the pandemic and all the things that we have faced, but the nice thing I hope that we're on this side of it. So for an aspiring superintendent, I think you need to make sure and do your homework, make sure you're ready for that jump. But, I also think you need to make sure that you're ready for the balance that you need between family and work. And that will go with any position that we've ever been in. But, if you're ready, then I think that it's an amazing role where you can find yourself doing things that you couldn't do from another position. You can look at things from the bird's eye view. And I feel like I can use the position that I have to leverage a lot of good things that can happen for our community and students.
I was really excited to learn more about your career when Dr. Artis sent us the information about you. You've had a long, accomplished variety of experiences. Can you kind of elaborate a little more on how you kept yourself balanced getting, I'm just finishing up year 10 and I'm like, how do these people do 30 years and not kind of, run for the hills? So tell me a little bit about self-care, how you balanced your career and kind of what advice you give to a teacher who's at the beginning of their career to kind of make this a sustainable career within North Carolina.
Well, I think I wouldn't be honest if I didn't tell you that there are days you feel like running for the hills. I'm in the hills, so I feel like running to the beach. But I think it's really important that you set aside some days for your own mental health, your own self-wellness. I think that you actually plan for those days. I am an avid calendar person. I schedule everything, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. But I think that you even have to schedule in those things. I schedule family time. I haven't always. I've for many, many years found myself being the last person to leave the office, the first person here of the morning. And there's some things that I regret with my own children, that I miss some things going on with them. And of course, I'm the mom that's been the team mom that's been on the ball fields and in the gyms and all that. But really, truly, I think it's important that you make sure you make time for your own family and friends And then I think you can come back to work and give 200% to what you're doing if you feel refreshed. Just finding that good balance. And, there's times when things are tough. You just have to kind of regroup. You got to take the time to step outside your office, step outside your classroom, and find something that, for me, we're fortunate we have a preschool that's actually adjoined with our office. So I can step into that preschool and I can rock those babies or go down to the kindergarten and read a story, or I still teach some classes occasionally to our students. So those are the kind of things that keep me balanced, making sure that I have a pulse with what's going on with the kids in the community, and making sure that I remember what it's like to be the teacher in the classroom. I hope that those are things that other people could use as well, but just making sure you schedule that time and make it happen.
Superintendent Knight, one thing that you have certainly made happen for your district is the development of really strong relationships with external partners. You're really strong around Standard 6. What advice would you give to other school executives around external development leadership? Because when it comes to getting the grants and developing the partnerships, you have been able to do quite a bit in Graham County Schools.
So I think there again, you've got to do your research. You've got to be that true community partner. It's not enough just to sit on the boards. It's not enough just to go to the meetings. You have to roll up your sleeves and be a part of what's going on in the community. I may be a different superintendent from those that you sometimes interview. I really am a very hands-on person. I think that's what it takes. I think that in order to build that community within your schools and to get those grants and to build that community engagement, people have to see you as somebody that's going to take a part. As a administrator, a leader in the community, I think that my students need to see me. They need to see me work in the concession stand at ball games. They need to see me at things that are going on in the local youth sports league. They just need to see me. And any good administrator, I feel like, will be out there being a part of the community actively, not just a figurehead.
That's great.
Superintendent Knight, why don't you talk to us a little bit about your entrepreneur program? From my understanding, you all make sure that the babies are exposed to becoming entrepreneurs.
Yes, so we're very excited about that. So we are probably the only county in North Carolina that doesn't have a 4-lane. Our economic development, we lost our biggest manufacturer several years ago, probably about 10 years ago. So in Graham County, in order to survive, you have to be creative. So we feel like, and really truly, as most schools are, particularly in small communities, we're the hub of the community. So we feel like it's our duty to work with our community and our students and provide them with some entrepreneurial experiences. Our last really exciting project that we have done is we have a main street in Graham County that is not flourishing. Actually, it's kind of dead. So we felt like we needed to step up, and we're going to move some of our high school businesses to Main Street in one of the vacant buildings. I think you've actually read in some of the attached information, we just got a little over $500,000 Golden Leaf grant. And so we're going to move a workforce development incubator there. We're moving a coffee shop and an imprinting shop over there that our high school kids run already. And we're going to bring it to Main Street and give them authentic experiences. One thing we find in a rural community that doesn't have a lot of economic growth is our kids don't get hands-on experience. So we can teach a lot of things in simulation at the school, but it's very important for our students to get out there and see what's happening in the real world. And so with this latest endeavor, it's a great partnership with our local government, with the town of Robbinsville. We have some nonprofits involved and some state agencies. So we're very excited to be able to form this partnership and actually have a working and authentic business and a storefront on Main Street for our students to experience.
I love that.
Thank you.
Now, and piggybacking off of that kind of question, I just have one. So how do you promote diversity, equity, in using entrepreneurship to try to build the community as well as the school?
Yeah, so I think that's where you have to make sure that you stack your stakeholders very well. So we want to make sure primarily, and we're very proud in Graham County, one of our largest ethnic groups is the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indian. So we're very excited to have them along with other representatives of the community as part of all the projects that go on, because I think if you don't have a well-balanced represented community stakeholder group, then you're really not going to be on a successful mission. And so we try to make sure that from the very beginning, we engage as many diverse stakeholders as we can. I mentioned that we're about 70% maybe poverty rate here. So, you know, I will also want to make sure that I get students, families from all different economic levels as well, because, you know, I know that I'm very privileged to sit in the seat that I sit in. I've been here a long time. So I want to make sure that I'm looking at things from a larger lens than just my own. It's important to hear the voice of everybody that I represent.
So one of the questions I had, and I think you started going into it a little bit, is I was really intrigued by how you do strategic planning, because reading about these amazing projects you have going and the different grants you've had, you know, how do you identify the priorities and what do you do? What are your goals still?
We have a lot of different stakeholders for different missions, obviously, but like I said, being a part of knowing what's going on in your whole county, we make sure that one thing that I think is very important from a school system point of view is that we have students on all of our community agency boards as much as can be. You know, like I said, I've been here a long time. I would very much appreciate a student perspective. They're going to be here. They're going to be taking care of me when I retire soon. So I want to make sure that we have their voice and we're giving them exposure that so that they can understand what's going on in the community. So and you know, I think I've probably like drifted from what you asked me. Would you care to ask me that question again? I've been a diverse.
Well, no, you really were hitting on part. You're talking about the stakeholder involvement, and I was just kind of wondering, you know, when you do strategic planning, when you're thinking about these different projects, you know, how do you go about it, and then what goals do you still have? You've already accomplished so many amazing things. What do you still want to do?
Well, I think that if you ever quit setting goals, then you probably just need to go ahead and go home. So strategic plans, I think, just to answer your question, making sure that you really are getting everybody on board that needs to be on board and making sure that you have some sustainability on that. We want to make sure when we get students on those boards, we have students, you know, if we're looking at CTE outcomes, then we want to make sure that we have our business leaders in place. We want our students there. We want our community representatives. We have a large faith community. We want representatives there as well. So just making sure, I think, that everybody's at the table when we start a strategic plan.
Superintendent Knight, I love too that another resource that you all have for your community is the health clinic. Tell us about the Graham County Schools Health Clinic.
So as you've heard me say, we're very rural and we don't have a hospital in Graham County. So we have to look at creative ways to serve our students and our staff. We also know that if we can have healthy students and healthy staff, then we have better academic performance, better work performance, happier students, happier staff. It makes my job much easier. So for many years, we had a school-based health center in Graham County. And then because of lack of providers, if you're ever in Graham County or you ever want to come to Graham County, I would invite you all to come by my office and I will give you a tour. But you really need to, you mean to be here. So we don't have a lot of providers that just come to Graham County looking for a job. So we lost our providers. So we were able to kind of reunite some stakeholders and work with Erlanger Health System. So we've moved the school-based health center back to the school. So they serve students, they serve staff and staff families. And I think that's important for us too. It helps parents stay at work. So that's important as well, so that the students can be seen here and the parents can stay at work.
The school system really should be the hub, and you all are really exemplifying that in your district.
Thank you.
Superintendent Knight, I would like to ask you about the laptops. From my understanding, every student in your district received a laptop. Kind of talk with me about that, as well as the internet connectivity.
Okay, well, wow, you asked the question. So as many other school systems, we are a one-to-one district. We've been that way for many years. Because of the internet, the reliable internet access, probably about 40% of my students don't have reliable internet access. Thus, I'm speaking to you tonight from my office, because even at my house, I don't have reliable internet, so I probably would have lost you a couple of times at least. And that's much like most of the homes of my students and staff. So we have looked at Chromebooks because we could download content for students on the Chromebook and then send it home with them, and the internet connection is not really as important. We have plenty of opportunities for hotspots and those kind of things in Graham County, but there's no cell service. So in a lot of the rugged mountain territory, and I see Jennifer shaking her head. She's in Hendersonville, and so she may understand that as well. So we have to be creative when it comes to that. We're working really hard there. Again, we're partnering with some of our local nonprofits and local government to make sure that we're at the table when we're talking about internet and connectivity in the rural areas. I might add that, we really were able to think about this during COVID, and it has really hit us very hard. We tried to be in school as much as we could be, because we knew that that's where we had access to kids the most. And well, a couple of reasons we were able to feed kids. We have a lot of children that are hungry. That was very important. And then also knowing that we didn't have an opportunity to send out remote lessons as often as others.
I was wondering, you've mentioned the preschool, and I was wondering if you could talk a little more about that, because is that like open to all 4-year-olds in Graham County, or how is that set up for you all?
Yeah, very much like most school systems, I guess. We work with NC Pre-K and have 3 preschool classrooms on our campuses. We have an opportunity to work with the CTE program in the high school and have students that work as well as interim or a few volunteer hours in the preschools as well.
That's wonderful.
We like starting our littles off the right way, and it's very easy for us to transition students, preschoolers, when they're on our campus. It gives them an opportunity to be exposed to the cafeteria and gyms, and they get to ride buses in the county. I mean, that's not unlike other school systems, but it's nice for us to have. We probably have about 50% of the students that come in their kindergarten classes here on our campus already in a preschool environment.
Superintendent Knight, can you share a success story with us about one of your students?
Wow, I don't know if I can just pick one. I'd like to share a success that would be a group of students. I've mentioned that I have students that some high poverty areas, and for example, during COVID and having to get lunches out. I mean, we can open up the cafeterias for people to come and pick up lunches, but when you don't have transportation and you don't have the means to get there, really there's not much point in just opening the cafeteria for food. So I had the idea that perhaps we needed to buy a food truck. So we were able to acquire a food truck. My transportation director and my assistant superintendent drove to South Texas, about 8 miles north of the Mexico border, and picked up a food truck that had been converted from a bookmobile, which I thought was very appropriate for it to be coming to school. So they drove back to North Carolina with it, and we converted that into a beautiful food truck that we had decorated to our school mascot and colors, and then we were able to take that out in the community, particularly last summer, and set up in different locations in the community so that we would be closer to the families and they could get to us easier. So we of course, we delivered meals with the food truck. We have clothes on there occasionally if kids need basic necessities there, basic toiletries. We took books as we traveled through the communities, and that's just really been a big blessing for us to have that. And now we hopefully we're on this side of COVID. I would knock on wood here to say that, but it's available if we need it in an emergency situation. If when we're not using it for that, we different groups use it for fundraisers. We use it as a mobile concession stand, and sometimes we feed the teachers out of it. So that I think was a success story that took a lot of people working together. And it wasn't particularly for one student, but it really has served a lot of students in the community. And I think that's something that as a school system, we can all be very proud of.
I apologize for not having like an additional question. I'm so impressed by your like perspective and your mindfulness to building up the community. And you just really have like established a model that's benefiting so many students. So I hope you realize that is going to like, transcend and move on past your career. So keep up the amazing work. Very impressive.
I've talked a lot about the community, but really truly, if we don't build those partnerships with the parents and the families early on in a small rural system, we've got to work with everyone. We've got a lot of families here that will have first generation college students. And so there's a lot of anxiety maybe about if they haven't experienced that for themselves. So we try to work very hard with families alongside with their students so that we can answer questions that they have. And if we need to take them on a school tour or, whatever the case may be, as many school systems walking through the FAFSA process or whatever needs to happen, because we want to make sure that we can break down any barriers that we need to, not just for the students, but for their families, because we know that the students will need that family support as well.
Superintendent Knight, typically there is a negative connotation around small and rural, but from your perspective, talk about some of the benefits, because you all have been able to do so many things. You're a small but mighty district.
Well, I will go ahead and say there are some negative things that happen in a small system too. There's a lot of things that we wish we had, we wish we had a Walmart, we wish we had a movie theater, we wish we had more things for students to do. But so what that forces you to do then is to look at the positives. And we choose to do that. And we choose to take the things that could be an obstacle to us and turn that into a challenge. And I think that's what I like the best about, I'm a very outside of the box thinking person. And so I like to be creative. And so, some of the best things that we do in Graham County are some of the craziest ideas that we throw out there, but they seem to just kind of land and take flight. We have been doing some local brainstorming about expansion of services in the community. And so I don't know if I'm just because I'm the oldest one there, I have the biggest mouth. I'm not sure how that goes, but maybe it's a respect your elders thing. But we've been working on, we need a youth center in Graham County. And so when we left our meeting, we had to have an action step. And so it was kind of like one of those stand up and pitch your argument. So my argument was for a youth center. And then, of course, I convinced everyone that was the one to choose. So when we left, our action steps this summer were to come up at least with one night a week that we were going to engage teenagers, because they don't have anywhere to go in Graham County. There's not even a parking lot for them to hang out in. So besides the school. And so we're now doing what we call a summer nights program, which is Knights with a K, because our Black Knight is the Knights are our school mascot. But so we're doing a summer nights program, and I have community engagement. I have our county commissioners cooking, have local churches cooking and providing a free meal. Community agencies are providing games. We're having cornhole tournaments and bonfires and outdoor movies. And so my hope is that I can gather enough data by the summer to encourage my county commissioners that this is a viable option and that we need to make that step toward a youth center. And if I have to help them write the grant to do that, we will. So.
Well, you have a lot of experience writing grants, so you certainly can do that. Any other questions for Superintendent Knight? We have really enjoyed having you on the program, and we're really just excited about all the great things that are that are happening in your district. Superintendent Knight, I would love to get your perspective in terms of how has the superintendency changed over the 11 years that you have served in this crucial role?
That's a great question. I think it's changed from being just in a managerial type role to where you really have to, I mean, like I said, I mean, you've heard me say that I'm a roll up your sleeves kind of person, but no, I've got to be involved. I've got to be the curriculum leader. I've got to be the grant writer. I've got to be, the community engagement person, but, really it's changed from a managerial type role to a more multifaceted perspective. And if I can say, it's probably changed me too, making sure that, it's just I'm not leading just from my office, I'm leading from within, and I'm wanting perspectives of others. So it's just been the greatest blessing in my life to be able to lead this county. And I hope that I've got a few more years able to do that. So
I believe that you do. I certainly do. Well, we thank you so much, Superintendent Knight, for joining us and sharing your story and your district story. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And you certainly have a welcome invitation to come back and keep us updated. And I can't wait to get to Graham County and get a cup of coffee on Main Street. I just love what you all are doing for the students and doing for the community.
I can't wait for you to come out there and do that. We hope to be in business about a year from now. So
that sounds great. We'd like to also thank our audience so very much for watching our program. We hope that you will engage us on our social media platforms. Please like our Facebook page. Please follow us on Twitter. Our handle is @TarHillTeachers. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Visit our website, tarhillteachers.com. And on all of our social media platforms, please use our hashtag TarHillTeachers so we can find all of your great comments. We'd like to thank our wonderful group of co-hosts for joining us for this conversation, Dr. Shanessa Fenner, Elizabeth Santamore, Dr. Jason Leach, and Dr. Jennifer Shelton. And once again, we'd like to thank our special guest for joining us, Angie Knight, Superintendent of Graham County Schools, a position she's held since 2013, and she is the reigning Western Region Superintendent of the Year. We look forward to seeing you next time on Tar Heel Teachers at Home.